Well, greetings, people of the internet. Unky Joe here, Unky Joe's Playhouse. Today, on the solar vlog, I'm going to tell you and show you the progress I've been making on my solar installation and what my rationale is for what it is I've done. So, let's get the video started right now. So, there's been a new addition to the equipment room. I said I wasn't going to do it, and one thing I'm good at is talking myself into doing things I said I wasn't going to do. But there's a method to my madness, and I'm going to share with you what that is. This is the EG4 6000 XP. It is a high frequency inverter. That means it's transformerless. Well, let me rephrase that. It has a rinky-dinky little bitty transformer in there. But most of the high voltage conversion is handled by MOSFET switching transistors, which run at really high speed and run at really high heat levels, which is why there are 3 fans on the side of this. And you can hear them ramping up and down as the solar and the electrical produced ramp up and down. Now, I bought this unit for $13.99 shipped to my door. And it turns out the person who shipped this to me in Colorado buys them from Signature Solar, which is right up the road from me, because I'm in South Texas. So Signature Solar drop shipped this to me, and I had some damage that was done to the little USB dongle, but I contacted the seller and he made it right. So the point is, this thing is installed. There's a couple of reasons why I decided to go with this. One, I want to be able to compare the difference between a high frequency inverter and a low frequency inverter, the build quality, longevity, etc. I've already made the decision that I'm going with Victron equipment to power my home, and I'm going to be doing it with the 48 volt 5000 VA units. As soon as I get a second one of these, I'll be able to do a split phase, but right now I don't have the need for split phase. And this little lowly unit is handling the load quite well. I'm running the majority of my home off of this inverter. So all the power that gets consumed by the majority, 2/3 of my home, comes through this unit and gets distributed by it. And I've covered in previous videos how I do that. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about these panels and sub-panels. Suffice it to say, this is the main feed from my main panel. That's 100. That cable is capable of doing 100 amps. I've got it limited to 60 amps, and then I've got a 40 amp double pole breaker because the EG4 is a 240 volt split phase unit, and then I have a single pole 40 amp breaker for the Victron. Again, the Victron powers the majority of the load in my house. The EG4. What's the plan with the EG4? Well, the plan with the EG4 is, since this will do 240 volt or 220 volt, I'm going to connect all of my mini splits that run off 220 volts in my house up to this unit, and I'm going to let it power. I'm going to let this and solar and electrical power my mini splits for the entire spring, summer season into the end of the year, and see how this EG4 stacks up and how it holds up. Why am I doing it? Well, because all my mini splits are linear compressors, inverter compressors, so they're fluctuating, they're variable speed. You don't have the startup and issues that you do with a regular, like a 3 or a 4 ton central air conditioning units. I shouldn't need slow start kits on these inverter mini splits, because I'm actually running the mini split in the studio, feeds off of that breaker right there. It's only a 15 amp breaker because the mini split in the studio here is only 120 volt. I think it's a 12,000 BTU unit, and it handles the load just fine. This EG4 is currently running that, and my server room. That's the sub panel for this for the EG4. Now, eventually, this will go back over to my main panel, and then all of my mini split units will run off of the EG4, and then the rest of the house will run off the Multi Plus 2. This includes my refrigerators, my all my aquariums, my studio, our TVs, our wireless in the home, our wired internet, etc., cameras, you name it. This Victron is handling that load just fine. So, and the other thing is I can share the battery bank, because these are both 48 volt inverters. I can share this conglomeration of batteries I have here with both inverters, and I can tell one to be kind of the big kahuna when it comes to charging the battery bank, and the other one for, I could even turn off the charger on this multi-plus if I wanted to, just have the EG4 keep the battery bank charged. We'll see, because it depends on how many panels I get during the spring and summer, etc. But for now, this is powering the load. Now, one of the benefits of the EG4, okay, you see this breaker right here? That's a 200 amp battery breaker. That goes to my battery bank. That's not included with Victron. You got to buy a separate breaker for your batteries with Victron, or put one on the battery itself. So you don't get that. These breakers here for the load, for the grid, and for the generator. These breakers are worth about $30 a piece if they're good quality breakers. So there's $90 worth of breakers right there, and this breaker right here is a couple of $100. So again, all of that's not included with Victron. I had to buy a bus bar. I had to buy a controller. All of this is built in. The solar charge controller, there's not only one, but there's two of them. And a cutoff switch here on the side. All of this for $13.99, and, you know, a display. It's not color, it's limited. And the software on this is very limited, basic operations, but it works really well once you've figured out how to make the software work in your head. And I'll make a video talking about how I have mine set up. But basically, that's it. You just hook up your wires to it and you're ready to go. It even has battery communications built in. There's a lot of stuff this inverter will do. But the problem is it's a high frequency inverter. And if you talk to anybody who's worked on inverters, well, let's go back to my desk and we'll discuss why you may not want to go with a high frequency inverter. So now that I'm back at my desk, I don't really feel the need to explain why, but I'm going to explain to you why. I love to play with equipment, you know that. So that's why I ordered the EG4 6000 XP in here. In the long run, I don't think that inverter is going to be suited for me, because I am looking for, I've used the Victron now for over a month, and the Victron has just, I mean, it has taken everything I've thrown at it. It's a low frequency inverter. It's heavy. It's got a big toroidal transformer. It weighs about 72 pounds. It took us, thank God they have a French cleat design on the mount, because otherwise it took two of us to hang it up on the wall. And it is, I have run that thing as high as 4,000 watts at 120 volts. So I pulled a lot of current through there. I've powered microwaves and toaster oven. The same time I power all this studio equipment, my rack, my fish, everything, pretty much everything in my house, with the exception of appliances that use excessive amounts of current, like the stove and the water heater and the dryer. Those I have not put onto solar. So the Victron is going to be a tough act to follow. And I know the Victron's going to last 20 to 25 years. At least. There are some downsides to having a low frequency inverter, but let's talk about the downsides, or let's talk about the upside of the EG4. The upside of the EG4 is the price. The value of that unit just can't be beaten by anything right now. It has two solar charge controllers. You can run up to 450 volts on each chain of panels, on each series connection of panels. It has a shut off switch for the panels, so that's something you don't need to buy. It has all the breakers installed for the line, the load, and for the generator. It has a 200 amp battery breaker in there. I mean, all this stuff, no matter who you buy from, you would have to pay extra for, or you have to add them on at piecemeal. You've seen with the Victron system the amount of excess equipment out external to the inverter itself that you need to put in there. But my way of thinking, it's worth the money and the added hassle, but time will be the judge of that. I do know that I've talked to people that have worked on these inverters for 20 to 25 years. And this is the thing about these inverters like the EG4, any of these high frequency inverters. The Chinese are trying to perfect this technology, and they're not, they haven't gotten any better now than they were 10 years ago, is what I'm told. Now, does that mean these aren't still a good value for your money? No, they are still a good value for your money, but don't expect them to perform on the same level as a low frequency inverter. They're just not going to do it. There are pros and cons to both. You can go look them up on the internet. The high frequency inverters, they claim are better for electronics, but high frequency inverters also have a better chance of damaging your sensitive electronics, because if those MOSFETs go out, which they tend to do because they're used quite a bit at high current ratings and high temperatures, and they've just never really been able to perfect that kind of circuitry. The other benefit of low frequency inverters is if you say use something like power tools in your shop, so that a huge inrush of current, it can handle that. Dare I say it'll handle central air conditioning units better. Will you still not have to put a slow start kit on them? I don't know. I haven't tried that, but I know with my mini splits, the Victron works flawlessly, but so does the EG4. Same way with the EG4, I've hung it on the wall and put it through its paces, and I have been nothing but pleased with it. But you need to be aware that it's not a design that's designed to last a long time. And so if you don't mind paying $1,400 every 5 years to replace one of these things, which is what I think they're going to last, is 5 years, then, go this route. But you get what you pay for. So in long-term Victron equipment, it's well worth the few hundred extra dollars per device than the EG4 in my estimation. Now, that's why I got two of them though, because I'm going to test the hell out of that Lux Power EG4 6000 XP. Don't you doubt I won't. But just so you are armed with all the information before you make that decision, don't jump into this lightly, you want to think this is the main unit of your whole solar system that is going to be providing power to the loads in your house. So you ought to take that pretty seriously, and don't, being the king of cheap, he's telling you don't cheap out on your inverter. I think in the long run it'll come back to bite you. So yeah, that's what I've done. I'm going to be buying another Victron 5000 VA 48 volt unit, hanging that next to the Victron that's there, and probably this EG4 will move to another part of the dwelling. Again, it's just going to be solely powering the mini splits in the house. I'm going to see, because that's where most of my energy usage during the spring and summer is on keeping my house cool. So it'll be interesting to see how much money I can save. I don't think I have enough solar or battery to run it on there 24 hours a day, but maybe if I can cut my energy usage on those mini splits by half, then it won't take that long for that EG4 to pay for itself. So your mileage might vary. So there you go. We hope you found the video entertaining and informative. As always, we're trying to mix things up around here, and thank you for your patience on waiting for this video. And we got some more coming. I'm going to do an aquarium video probably next. So for those of you waiting on those videos, they're coming. I've been doing some experiments here at Unky Joe's Playhouse with some of the different aquariums, and I want to share my experience with you. So yeah, got that to look forward to. So what's the next thing I'm buying for my solar? More panels. I need lots more panels. Lots more. So I just got to find a good source for 400 watt panels delivered to my door for a reasonable price. And I think I found those, but spoilers. So anyway, thanks again for coming to see us. Please click the like button. Yeah, if you like the video, leave your comments in the comments section, subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and click that notification bell to be notified of new videos when they come out. Donate if you're so inclined. PayPal, Patreon, YouTube join function. And my apologies, I've let my website get away from me. I've let Patreon get away from me. You know, life. We're going to get them back up and running, and I'm going to get things cross-posted over to Patreon. Now, if you're not a big YouTube fan, you can watch us over on BitChute and on Rumble and on Odyssey. All of our content gets mirrored over there on those other platforms, so feel free to join us over there as well. Please come back and see us again, and don't forget, we'll see all of you on the other side.